Okay, so welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yes, welcome back.
Today, we're going to be looking at,
I'm excited for this one.
yeah, this is a good one. I think this one's really, really relevant to basically everybody.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think we all think about this to some degree,
Oh,
but
maybe.
maybe not as in-depth as we should,
Yeah, exactly.
especially given how much time we spend
Especially in today's world.
in our workspaces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to be looking at hidden workplace hazards.
Right?
So obviously, everybody, when you think about workplace hazards, you think
The
about
big ones.
the obvious ones, right? Like
Yeah. Like wet floor signs or
that floor signs, yeah, or like,
fire exits, things like that.
yeah, fire exits, exposed wires.
Sure. Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about the stuff that maybe you don't think about as much.
Yes, exactly. The stuff that lurks below the surface.
Yeah, and that even seasoned professionals might not always be aware of.
Yeah, because I think it's easy to get into a pattern of just thinking it won't happen to me.
Absolutely.
But the research is, it's pretty eye-opening when you
It is.
when you really look into it.
It is.
And we're not just talking about, bumps and bruises here.
Right.
We're talking about long-term health issues
Exactly.
that can develop over time as a result of these hidden hazards.
Yeah, it's almost like the workplace equivalent
Yeah.
of like a dripping faucet or something, right?
Oh, I like
And
that.
it's just this tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's just a little annoying. It's not a big deal.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, 5 years later, you realize
It's eroded the pipes.
it's rode the pipes and there's like mold and it's a huge problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we've got a big stack of research here, a lot of interesting stuff. And I think maybe the best place to start is with the air we breathe.
Yeah.
I know. It sounds basic.
Super basic. Right.
Right.
Yeah, but it literally is the foundation
It is.
of, our physical well-being, and it's something that we often overlook.
Yeah.
So even in closed spaces that seem clean, like office environments, you can have this buildup of chemical fumes
Yeah.
from cleaning products, from like the furniture off-gassing,
Oh, wow.
you name it, all these things
Lovely.
that can pollute the air.
Okay.
Yeah, and long-term exposure can really trigger.
So that's like the new car smell or that new, like, I don't know, pleather couch smell, that kind of thing.
Exactly, things like that.
Oh, wow.
You might not even think about,
Okay.
but can be really impacting your health.
So it can actually trigger like breathing problems and things.
Exactly, and it can be way down the line.
Wow.
You might not even connect it.
This is making me think differently about that stuffy conference room that we always meet in.
I know, right?
I always get a headache in there. Now I'm like, oh no,
Yeah, it could be more to it.
what are we supposed to do? Should we all be like demanding hazmat suits before we go to meetings?
I mean, maybe not hazmat suits,
Okay.
but advocating for better ventilation,
Okay.
making sure that your workspace has good airflow.
Right.
Think about it this way.
Yeah.
You wouldn't work in a room full of visible smoke, right?
Of course not.
But these invisible pollutants, they can be just as harmful over time.
Wow. Okay. Point taken.
So it's really about being proactive and making sure that you're working in a space that's properly ventilated.
I like it. Okay. So moving on, something that I'm definitely guilty of.
Oh, yeah.
Tripping hazard.
Okay.
So my desk
Uh-huh.
is basically a minefield
Let me guess.
of coffee mugs,
Okay.
charging cables,
Got it.
half-eaten bags of snacks, you name it.
The whole 9 yards.
The whole 9 yards. Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But okay, seriously though, like how big of a deal is this really?
Well, I mean, bigger than you might think.
Okay.
One of the reports that I was looking at, it actually found that slips, trips, and falls account for a huge percentage of workplace injuries
Really?
and lost workdays.
Wow.
And a lot of that comes down to things like clutter,
Okay.
but also things like uneven flooring or poor lighting, things that can contribute to those accidents.
So you're telling me it's not just my clumsiness, it's a systemic issue.
It could be a combination of both.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, but really it's about fostering a culture of awareness
Okay.
in the workplace,
Yeah.
making sure that people are reporting hazards,
Reporting hazards. Okay.
making sure that there's adequate lighting,
Got it.
and keeping your workspace tidy.
Okay, so I need to clean my desk.
It can make a difference, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Point taken. All right. Speaking of things that can spark trouble, let's talk about electricity.
All right.
So we all know about the dangers of like getting a big shock.
Yeah, the obvious stuff.
The obvious stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But what about like the more subtle dangers of electricity? The stuff that maybe we're not as aware of?
That's where things get really interesting, I think. So static electricity, for example,
Oh, okay.
most people think it's just a minor annoyance.
It's just like, oh, I got zapped.
But you know what?
Hmm.
In certain environments, it can actually ignite flammable materials.
Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah, so if you have, certain types of chemicals or vapors in the air,
Right?
a static discharge could be enough to set off an explosion or a fire.
Okay, wow, that's a little scary.
Or, another thing to think about is overloaded circuits.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely been guilty of that.
So that's when you're plugging in way too many devices into one outlet
Yeah.
or into a power strip, and that can lead to overheating
Right, okay,
and potentially a fire as well.
got it.
And oftentimes it's because we're living in this digital age,
We have so many gadgets.
so many gadgets.
All the things need to be charged.
Yeah, we're just plugging in more and more things without thinking about the capacity of the electrical system.
All right, you've officially made me paranoid about my power strip now.
Good. A little bit of paranoia is healthy.
Okay, good point. So frayed cords,
Grade quartz, yeah, absolutely.
damaged outlets,
Damaged outlets, big red flags.
big red flags.
And, don't just assume that because a device is plugged in, it means it's safe.
Okay,
Regular inspections are really important,
got it, okay.
just to make sure that everything is in good working order.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about something that's hitting a little close to home for me.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Ergonomics.
Okay, yeah.
I can feel my back aching already just thinking about this.
It's like the silent epidemic of the workplace.
It is. I feel it.
So many people suffer from it.
Yeah,
You mentioned that dripping faucet earlier.
yeah.
Poor ergonomics is kind of like that.
It is.
It's just this thing that gradually wears down your body over time.
All right,
You're
right.
talking carpal tunnel, back pain, tendinitis,
Yep.
all from repetitive motions.
Yeah.
And poorly designed workspaces.
Okay, so it's not just about getting like a fancy ergonomic chair.
It's part of it, but it's not the whole picture.
Okay.
So yeah, the chair is important, but also adjusting your workstation.
Workstation, okay.
Taking breaks to stretch,
Right.
being mindful of your posture throughout the day.
Posture, got it.
All of those things are crucial.
Right.
One of the sources I was looking at had this great analogy.
Okay, what do
You're saying, think of your body like a well-oiled machine.
Okay.
You need to maintain it properly if you want it to last a long time.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so just like you wouldn't neglect your car and expect it to run smoothly,
Right.
you shouldn't neglect your body
Totally.
and expect it to function at its best.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about a hazard that's literally hard to hear.
Literally, yes.
Noise pollution.
The invisible enemy.
The invisible enemy.
It really is.
It is. And it's not just like jackhammers in concerts.
Right.
Like even
Prolonged exposure
to moderate noise levels, like in a busy office
can cause damage.
over time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
Right.
cumulative thing.
Interesting. So like all those open plan offices that everyone loves so much these days,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not so great for our ears.
Not so ideal, no.
That's how I do.
So there are things you can do to mitigate the risk.
Like what?
So things like sound dampening materials,
Okay.
like carpets, curtains, things like that.
Right.
Designated quiet zones.
Quiet zones. Okay.
And of course, personal hearing protection.
Hearing protection. Yep.
In loud environments, that's essential.
Got it.
One of the sources I was looking at even mentioned white noise machines.
Oh, interesting.
So the idea is that by masking those jarring sounds,
Yeah.
it can help reduce stress as well.
Okay, interesting. So it's kind of like a two birds, one stone situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and speaking of stress, let's talk about mental health because that's got to be a factor in safety too, right?
Huge factor. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we all know that when we're stressed out, we're more likely to make mistakes. But chronic stress, it can really do a number on your brain.
Really?
It can lead to burnout.
Okay.
It impacts your focus,
Yeah.
your reaction time.
Yeah.
Basically, your brain's on overdrive.
Okay.
And it's more prone to making those kinds of mistakes that can lead to accidents.
So it's not just about feeling stress. It's like actual cognitive impairment.
Actual. Yeah, it's like trying to drive with a foggy windshield.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So then it really becomes like a company culture thing
Absolutely.
where like
Companies need to
prioritize mental health.
Yeah, promoting work-life balance.
Yeah, work-life balance.
Providing resources for mental health.
Got it.
And just fostering an environment where people feel comfortable speaking up about stress.
Yeah. Okay, that
Wow.
makes sense.
Hmm.
All right, shifting gears a little bit. let's talk about fire safety.
Okay.
So we all know
76.
the basics. Look for the exits.
Yeah.
What are we missing?
I think the biggest danger in a fire is panic.
Okay. Yeah.
People freeze up. They make irrational decisions. So knowing your evacuation route cold, not just glancing at the diagram on the wall,
Right.
but really knowing like, okay, if I'm in this room,
Yeah.
this is the way I need to go.
Got it.
That's vital.
Okay. All right. So next fire drill. I'm not just heading for the donuts in the break room.
Maybe not this time.
Okay. Fair enough. Also, like, knowing how to use a fire extinguisher,
Yeah, that's important.
where they're located.
Absolutely.
Like, that's beyond the basics.
It is.
But, could be a real lifesaver in a real situation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, for a hazard, that might seem more like a household problem than a workplace problem.
Okay.
Mold.
Don't underestimate mold.
Really?
It's a serious issue.
Okay.
Mold thrives in damp, poorly ventilated areas.
Yeah. Right.
And it can trigger allergies, respiratory problems,
Okay.
even more serious illnesses in people who are susceptible.
So that musty smell in the basement storage room, that's more than just unpleasant.
It could be a sign of a major mold problem.
Okay.
So regular inspections, prompt repairs to any leaks,
Got it.
proper ventilation, those are crucial.
Okay. Good to know.
And if you suspect a problem, report it immediately.
Don't wait.
Don't wait until it becomes a full-blown health crisis.
Got it. Okay. Let's see. All right. Next up, lighting.
Oh, yeah, lighting.
This is something that we all kind of take for granted, but it can be surprisingly dangerous.
It really can.
I
mean, like, poor lighting, it impairs your depth perception.
Right.
Makes it harder to spot hazards.
Yeah.
And it can even contribute to fatigue and eye strain.
Really?
Which makes you more prone to making errors.
Okay. So it's not just about being able to see. It's like actually being able to process information accurately.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So making sure that there is adequate lighting, especially in areas with, moving machinery.
Right.
Or hazardous materials, that's essential.
Okay. Got it.
And don't forget about glare.
Oh.
Too much of the wrong kind of light
Yeah.
can be just as bad as too little.
Got it. Okay. All right. Time to debunk a myth.
Okay, hit me.
PPE, safety gear.
Right.
This is not just for construction workers, right?
Nope, it's for everyone.
For everyone.
Whether you're handling chemicals in a lab,
Okay.
operating machinery in a factory,
Right.
or even working in an office,
Really?
with potential exposure to dust or allergens, PPE is crucial.
Okay. Wow.
It's your first line of defense.
So that's like gloves, goggles,
that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's that whole like better to have it and not need it.
Then need it and not have it.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
And don't forget about training.
Oh, right.
PPE is only effective if you know how to use it correctly.
Of course, of course.
So making sure that people are trained on how to properly put on,
Right.
take off,
Yeah.
use their PPE is crucial.
Got it. Okay. All right. Let's talk about a hazard that can be a real headache. Literally.
Okay, what's that?
Improper storage.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking like collapsing stacks of boxes.
Yes.
Blocked fire exits.
Yeah.
Creating tricking hazards. It's like a domino effect.
It really can be, and especially in the case of flammable materials.
Right.
Improper storage can turn a small incident into a major disaster.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's not just about being tidy.
Okay.
It's about understanding the potential consequences
Right. Got it.
of not storing things properly.
Okay. So like following safe stacking guidelines, making sure there are clear aisles and access to fire safety equipment,
Absolutely.
and like never storing heavy items on high shelves without proper support.
Yeah, all of those things are really important.
Got it. Okay. All right, let's talk about a growing concern, especially with so many people working remotely these days.
Yeah.
Lone workers.
Lone workers, yeah, it's a whole different ballgame
It is.
when it comes to safety.
Yeah.
I mean, if something goes wrong,
Who's going to help?
exactly, who's there to help?
Right. Delayed emergency response, lack of immediate assistance.
Yeah.
Those are major risks for lone workers.
So what can lone workers do to stay safe?
Well, regular check-ins with their supervisor.
Okay, check.
Letting someone know their schedule, location.
Got it.
Those things are really important.
Okay.
Even using things like, GPS tracking devices or personal safety apps
Oh, right.
can be literal lifesavers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's not just about physical safety, right?
No, it's not.
Like working alone all the time, it can be kind of isolating,
Yeah.
can take a toll